Hello? No, I don't want to change my long-distance service.
Hello?
Oh, Brainy, it's Boulder. Looks like we have another brain foul to investigate.
I'm sure there's a logical explanation for the glowing disc that just streaked across the horizon and crashed into this field.
Yes, probably, but logical explanations are boring. Let's take it back to the Federal Bureau of Imagination and crack her open.
It's my turn. You got to crack open the last UFO.
Yes, how can I forget? I unleashed river dancers on the unsuspecting world.
Shh, if they find out that was our fault, they'll have our badges.
Can I crack it open now?
I really don't think you should hit it with a big hammer. When you hit the time machine with the big hammer, it zapped us with a ray that turned us into 13-year-olds again.
The central tenet of modern neuroscience is that all behavior is a reflection of brain function. The action of the brain underlies not only relatively simple motor behaviors, such as walking, breathing, and smiling, but also elaborative, affective, and cognitive behaviors, such as feeling, learning, thinking, art. As a corollary, the disorders of affect, feelings, and cognition, thought, that characterize neurotic and psychotic illness can be seen as disturbances of brain function.
I don't know about you, Boulder, but I need a vacation.
Maybe I can help. My name is CorteX. My role in the function of the brain is abstract thinking, planning, language, creativity, and problem solving. I have been sent to Earth to inform mankind of the extreme importance of brain function. I brought a DVD to play in schools across the world.
Ooh, DVD, huh? We only have VHS. Can it be converted?
What a coincidence. That's kind of what we do. The CorteX files are cases that somehow pertain to strange miswirings of the brain.
I know. That is why I came here. Your work is respected throughout the galaxy.
You hear that, Brainy? We are intergalactically famous.
Like I don't have enough to do here on Earth. Now we'll be getting calls from Jupiter.
Jupiter? Those guys are morons. They still have 2 sliced toasters.
This is remarkable, Boulder.
Why do you always seem so surprised? Don't remember last week's show when we discovered a portal to a parallel dimension where teenage kids thought they were too cool for dorky videos? Like this one?
Who, them? Sure, they're teenagers who think they're way cooler than anything they could possibly learn in school. But they're also tomorrow's parents and teachers. How cool is that?
Very cool.
See the kid in the 3rd row, all slouched down, doodling in his notebook, completely ignoring the video? He's 18 and has flunked the 7th grade 6 straight years. Yet even he still has the potential for greatness.
What?
That's why we need to teach him the extreme importance of brain development. The adult brain typically weighs about 3 pounds, although there is considerable individual variation in brain size. Male brains generally are larger than females, just as they often have larger body mass.
Men have bigger brains than women. Nature can be oh so revealing.
Oh, please. Male brains are generally 10% larger than females. However, there is no correlation between brain size and intelligence.
The human cerebral cortex, top layer of the brain, when spread on a flat surface, would take up about 2.5 square feet. This size is considerably greater than the amount of surface area that the cerebral cortex occupies in the human skull.
Your point?
I don't know. I just wanted to sound smart. Shape, a series of elevated ridges, gyri, shallow depressions, sulci, and deeper grooves, fissures, characterize the human cerebral cortex. The surface landscape of each individual's brain is slightly different. The functional unit of the human brain is the nerve cell, or neuron. The human brain is composed of 100 billion neurons. A neuron basically consists of a cell body with dendrites and axons extending out from it. The nerve impulse comes as an electric signal, and it travels down the axon of one neuron and jumps to a dendrite of a connecting neuron.
Like a cell phone?
Kind of.
This gap between the axon and the dendrite is called a synaptic cleft, and neural connections are formed as we are learning. Many axons are covered with a layered insulating myelin sheath, which speeds the transmission of electrical signals along the axon. Process. Electrical signals trigger the release of special chemicals, neurotransmitters, which relay the impulse to the next neuron. The structure of the brain is divided into 2 hemispheres, a left and a right hemisphere. A longitudinal fissure that extends from the front of the brain to the back separates the hemispheres. However, a superhighway of nerve cells, or neurons, called the corpus callosum, connects the hemispheres. The hemispheres of the brain do have different functions. The left hemisphere tends to be more analytical, time-sensitive, logical, and precise. Mathematical calculations and logical decision-making. The right brain is more holistic. It doesn't break things down for analysis. It is the more emotional and is involved with sensory perceptions. However, the emotions of the right side often are the more pessimistic and sad. The left side tends to be the more optimistic side.
So you're saying my right brain might say this video is Dorksville times 10, and my left might say it's...
Cool. Turn around and watch the movie, you slackers. You might learn something.
My brain needs some stimulation. Let's get out of this dreary old lab.
Let's go someplace fun, colorful, and has ice cream. That's when there's buying.
Oh, brain freeze.
The left side of the brain is the location of the speech and interpretive centers. It is responsible for language-based skills, like speaking, writing, and reading.
The right side allows identification of familiar objects by sight, touch, smell, or taste. It interprets the meaning of words. The emotional context recognizes faces, understands spatial relationships.
However, the true emergence of human capacity occurs when the two hemispheres work together through the corpus callosum and other connecting pathways.
It's as if you are reading my mind.
Superior intellect is so rare, and yet it shouldn't be.
Come on, just a few more sprinkles.
Look, man, I'm just following orders. Now, I already gave you the maximum allotted amount of sprinkles as set forth in the ice cream manual, page 9, section 2B. Sprinkles shall be sprinkled lightly over the ice cream. The operative word being lightly. I know you're a loose cannon over there at the Federal Bureau of Imagination with a penchant for breaking rules, but what are we if we're not governed by employee handbooks? A world of chaos, my friend. If I give you more chocolate sprinkles, then what constitutes the meaning of lightly? Next thing you know, chocolate sprinkle shortages plague the earth.
You're just too lazy to get up.
That too.
In contemporary neuroscience, the brain is generally described as having 4 parts. Although scientists differ in their descriptions of the 4 parts, in this curriculum, the brain is divided into the brainstem, midbrain limbic region, and cortex. The lower regions of the brain are involved with the most basic and necessary bodily functions. The higher up you go, the more complex the behavior or emotion that is being generated or monitored.
You are one in a galaxy, Cortex.
It's just high school science.
You're making our job so much easier.
Well, it's easy when you're working with someone so beautiful and smart.
Oh, stop it, you charmer from outer space.
Yo, brain freeze. There's 3 people at the table here.
Oh, look, Boulder, a monkey. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. We use the cortex to plan, ponder, and reflect. The cortex is the last part of the brain to develop fully and remains the most plastic, the most likely to change.
Because the cortex develops over a longer period of time, it is also more influenced by environmental factors, both physical and psychological. A child's relationship with caregivers is one of those environmental factors that is so important. The critical windows are most relevant to the development of the cortical regions of the brain.
Occipital lobe, back of the brain, the visual processing area, conscious perception of visual stimuli, vision.
Temporal lobe, lower side of the brain around the ears, conscious perception of sound and smell, speech comprehension, usually only in the left hemisphere, some aspects of memory, language. Hello?
Toys rule.
Nobody.
Parietal lobe, top, behind the midline, conscious perception of sensory information related to touch, pressure, vibration, pain, temperature, and taste, involved with movement, calculation, and orientation.
Frontal lobe, front half of the brain, conscious regulation of motion, thinking, conceptualization, and planning. Higher level thinking, imagination.
Prefrontal cortex, behind the forehead, has extensive connections with other parts of the cortex and brain, performs abstract intellectual functions, such as predicting future consequences of events or actions. It is the emotional control center for the brain. When this area isn't developed correctly, that is where we find children who defy authority and get into lots of trouble.
Hello? Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
What is it?
The mummy's in. They want us to hurry up and pick it up. It's one of those really obnoxious mummies.
Yes, I get to use my new behavior modification technique.
hitting him on the head with a big hammer?
What? Science is making many advances.